We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. His street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out.
Leipzig Kings travel to good old Prague. This is a very underrated game in my opinion. All right. And I'll dive into it in a little bit, but first, of course, I got to hear from my guy, Mr. Joe Kilpatrick, as what are his thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so this game, I think it's not going to be the highest quality. Like that's no shame to either team. Obviously, both very good, but it's the one that intrigues me a little bit because I think it could be a close one. And the Prague Lions, for me, I think they're the Prague Lions are the team that I'm probably going to be following most closely when it comes to this season. As soon as they were entered into the league, I remember you gave me a text and said Chas Mumphrey, exciting QB. Yeah. Keep an eye on him and see what he can do. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's doing. There's also a couple English boys as well. We got Eden Palmer, who is their tight end. And then as well, we've also got Emmanuel Faloa, the British linebacker. So there's always whenever the British boys are playing for a certain team, I'm always sort of leaning towards them. And I've been to Prague. Prague's a hell of a city as well. So all about that. So yeah, as we mentioned, Prague are one of those teams I think a lot of people do have sort of rated towards the bottom of the power rankings. They've got a lot of national players in their side when it comes to the Czech players, like any other team, but they seem to have quite a fair amount of Czech players playing for them, and it's a little bit unknown, really. When we talk about sort of Eastern European football, I think most people, unless you're really, really tuned into it, your knowledge doesn't go the most depth, does it really? But I'm looking at their sort of American imports, especially the defense one. You've got James Brooks, who was playing in the X League, which is always good, and then you got is it Rodria Lewis, who is the defensive back? Yeah, Alabama. So that, he seems a hell of an exciting player to pick up and bring to the ELF. So yeah, Prague Lions, I think it's going to be another one of those where we don't really know exactly who they are until they sort of get playing. The Kings. Look, they've kept a lot of their defensive players, which is so important. Me and you have talked. Yeah, exactly that. Me and you talked about how much we loved them last year. Zetterberg really came into his own last year. Yeah. AJ Wentland, of course, as well. So the fact that those two guys are still there is huge for them. Offensively, I that was where they had the issues last year. They went through a number of quarterbacks. Of course, finished season. They finished with Connor Miller, didn't they? He was their final QB before moving on, I believe. I know he definitely came.
Gabriel Cunningham, because Connor Miller got hurt.
That was it. Yeah, exactly that. They just all kept getting injured. So because did they start with Barlow? Barlow was the first, wasn't he? And then he got injured. And Jordan was playing through so much pain. I remember that. I can't remember if it was collarbone or shoulder or something like that had gone. So they weren't the luckiest of teams last year, the Leipzig Kings. But that defense is still crazy explosive.
Yeah.
And
that defense. Listen, if anyone was more on record rooting for a team last year, it was definitely me. I kept believing, no, they're going to turn it around. They're going to turn it around. If the offense just gets it right, they're going to turn it around. And the defense, the defense was strong enough even back then to, obviously a JP Brownback, a Mike Tavares, obviously AJ Wentland, William James, Zettenberg, Lance Liotto. Like they had the guys, but they just kept getting put in real bad predicaments, real bad situations. I mean, that Hamburg game was a cluster. I mean, what did they lose? It was like 14-13 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing that killed them last year were the turnovers and the offensive line. But, with this being said, I think Prague's going to look to show off, what the Czech talent has, which is still a question mark. We don't really know. Just like the Anthrones, we don't really know in terms of the actual talent. What I do know is that Prague and the Thermals played in the CEFL Championship last year, and Thermals got the win. So I've been watching a couple, that tape a little bit to kind of get a feel of who these guys are. Biggest matchup in this game to watch: Shazon Mumphrey versus AJ Wentland. All right, that's gonna be the matchup to watch. It's gonna be a cat and mouse game between both of them. I think in terms of making adjustments, because AJ just walks off the bus and probably already has 5 tackles before even stepping foot on the field. This guy literally runs sideline to sideline. He's the captain of the defense. When I think about Prague and how they're going to defend the Leipzig Kings, obviously Leipzig's going more to a run-heavy offensive mentality, bringing in 2 running backs. Obviously, I think it's Shane. I forgot who the running back's name was for the Kings, but he did play for the Steelers or try out for the Steelers. Keontae Allen at quarterback. I can see a little zone read action there. Can Prague stop the run? Because that's what they're going to want to do, right? And if Prague can stop the run, who's going to step up at receiver for the Leipzig? Because they don't have a dude. Until somebody shows me who that guy is, they don't have a guy. But with that being said, the Kings defense is just so strong. How much have the Leipzig improved on offense? So we'll see. But before I make a pick, who do you got in this game?
So I'm going. I think I'm still rolling on from last season. I'm taking the Kings in this one.
Kings,
yeah. Defense. I'm still going to root for that defense. As I say, I'm taking an interest in the Lions, but I really want to see who they are before I really sort of be able to say whether I think they'll win or not. So I'm going to take the Kings on this one.
And with the Kings, obviously, their defense is going to be stout. But what I think Prague could do in terms of winning this game is get the ball into a lot of their playmakers' hands on the outside. Because you got Lance Liotta, you got Al Zuckerberg who are in the middle, or Zenberg there in the middle, and then AJ is obviously sitting at the mic. If they could get the ball to the outside, jet sweeps, bubbles, screens, quick game. And work more of the middle of the field versus the outside. I think Prague has a chance. So I'm gonna roll with the Prague Lions in this game.
Oh, there we go.
Prague Lions over the Leipzig Kings.
Hard work, they don't know about it. Hard work, they don't know about it. Hard work, they don't know about it. Animal.